Good evening. I would like to call to order the Wilmette Park District regular meeting of the Park Board Commissioners this Monday, June 13th, 2022. It is 7:33 p.m. Could we begin with a roll call?
Commissioner Duffy.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Here.
Commissioner Goebel.
Here.
Commissioner Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Kozlowskis is absent. Commissioner Murdoch.
Here.
Will you have a quorum?
Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Could I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right. Does anyone want to remove any item on the consent agenda?
I understand we're removing the annual board meeting,
Correct, item 2.1.
2.1.
All right.
Thank you.
Any objection? All right. Could I have a roll call to approve the consent agenda sans 2.1?
Commissioner Duffy.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier.
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch.
Yes.
Consent agenda is approved.
Thank you. Communication and correspondence. Does anyone have any communication and correspondence they want to share that was not in the packet?
Received some communication about the pool, and it was subsequently resolved in the day by staff.
Great.
We
Thank
also
you.
received some communication about pickleball, and I believe that was also resolved by staff.
Okay. And I had some communication with Mike Brayman that I didn't get into the packet, but I'll send it to Catherine. I'll make sure it's in for next month. Public comment and recognition of visitors. Could I see a show of hands of the folks who would like to address us this evening? Great. All right. I would just like to remind everyone that we generally ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you have sent us any information, you should assume that we have in fact read it, so you're welcome to repeat it, but you're welcome to add new information as well. And as is typically the custom, I start over here on my right side in the front and work my way back. So there's a very distinguished gentleman in the front that has been up here from time to time. Jim, are you going to join us? Thank you.
Good evening. It's nice to be back in this chamber again after
a
number of years. It's odd to be on this side of the table, but I'm here to support the men's hockey group, of which I was a partner of many, many years ago. A lot of what they're going to say I will not repeat, so I'll be very, very brief. In my heart, I want to say to you new commissioners, good for you to do this. It's a labor of love. You do it without pay. You do it with sometimes some difficulty coming your way, but you do it nonetheless. You stand up and you're counted, and we thank you for it. You should be proud of yourselves. I see familiar faces up here too. Steve, of course, Mike. It's always fun to see old faces in the crew. So thank you for deliberating. Thank you for seeing all of us tonight. Thank you for the job you're doing. That's really all I wanted to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Do you want to address how we're going to,
Sure.
listen to hockey and then move it forward?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Before I call anyone else up, this is, I think a number of people are going to want to talk about the hockey schedule, and it is not an item on the agenda, so we will listen to what everyone has to say. We will not be discussing it this evening, but I believe there's consensus among the board that we're going to add it to the agenda at the committee of the whole meeting in 2 weeks. That will be our first committee of the whole meeting that replaces our former committee structure. I know Steve's going to discuss that in the executive director's report. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but it's my understanding that we're all in agreement that we will discuss this in 2 weeks. So just as background information, thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And so I would just add on to that and encourage anybody that comes tonight to come back in 2 weeks. And, that way you can hear the discussion, you can hear from staff, you can hear from everybody, and kind of maybe we can put a whole picture together and figure out if there's something that we can do.
Thank you. All right, next row, Alan.
Alan Golden, 2516 Laurel Lane. I am not here to talk about hockey, but I noticed on your agenda tonight that you're going to be talking about the GILLSON Park Comprehensive Plan. I would like to again encourage the board to do the minimum necessary in the park to maintain the park. No moving roads, no additional concrete, no additional structures. The park has historic significance, as we've been informed. Obviously, things need to be maintained, and no one's objecting to maintaining what's there, roads, curbs, concrete. I mean, if it's there, great, maintain it. But please, keep Gilson Park the way it is. And that seems to be the consensus from what we have heard from people coming up and speaking to the board. So please, I implore you, keep Gilson Park the way it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, fourth row, please. And again, when you come up, if you don't mind stating your name and where you live. Thank you.
I'm Jim Cook, 538 Illinois Road in Wilmette. I'm from the hockey group, and we're going to forego having everyone come up and speak and beat a dead horse, so to speak. So in this case, let me tell a little bit about who we are. We're a group that's been skating with Wilmette Park District ice for over 50 years, back in the 60s. And we started skating with that because Wilmette Hockey didn't want the ice because it conflicted with religious services that their children just wouldn't be able to make. And the coaches took that ice that Wilmette Hockey did not want. So we took Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. And it's been that way for over 50 years. It was initially a Wilmette Hockey coaches skate, specifically, and allowing the coaches an opportunity to hone their skills on the hockey rink without their players there. And it really worked out quite well. One of our founding members actually is a descendant of a founding father of Wilmette, the McDaniel family. So just in terms of, we've been there a long time, I guess is the point. Over 50 years, we've been renting, and we're a group in good standing. We've paid our bills, always been quite good about that. I think we know that. But we really want to say that the reason, we understand the reason for moving us was because Wilmette Hockey wanted continuity of ice. Now, almost all of us are hockey coaches, have gone through this before, and to be honest with you, coaches don't need continuity between ice, and it is a little bit of a flawed argument in that. But be that as it may, that is the reason we've been given, that this is the way it is. Now, really, this should be about our group, and that we're providing a service to the men and women that play hockey. We have a mixed group, and that's a service Wilmette Park District does not provide. And quite often, we get referrals from Wilmette Park District to have them skate with our group when they don't have a program for the adults. So we feel strongly that we are providing a service, and we want to continue to do that. Our hope, in closing, our ice would make the numbers for us really not work. It's just that us starting at 7 a.m. just will not work very well for the adults that skate in this, and we probably would lose 50 to 75% of our skaters because of the timing. So we'd like to have that 9 o'clock spot. Our hope is that the board will hear our request to consider this, and that you will review it. As you said, it probably will be in 2 weeks. And with that, that's the end of my comments, unless you have any questions for us.
Just one, because I was making notes. You think you'll lose a high percentage of your skaters. What number did you say? I just didn't write it down.
Somewhere between 50 and 75%.
All right, thanks.
What we don't know is how many you might pick up because it's early morning, but again, it's around that area. The skaters we have indicated they just won't be able to skate that early in the morning.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Please, hey guys, I'd like we appreciate it, but thank you. Is there someone else on this side in the fourth row who would like to address us? Or the fifth? The back row. Great, okay. On this side, starting Walter. You've got the floor.
Don't know what I do with the floor, but, sorry. Two quick things. One on the procurement policy things. I'm just curious, I mean, I'm looking at it, and it says it's revisions, but if you don't see the changes, how do you know? I mean, it's just there, and I don't know whether you guys got copies of the original, but it would seem to me if you're going to do that, somebody ought to have before and after things. The marketing thing, I'm impressed, it looks nice and all that. I'd like to be sure that the people who don't have emails get communications periodically. This is, the Park District is for everybody, and I think we should make sure that there's a concerted effort to have all the households, because you're just talking about residents, you have to send to everybody, but every household that you can identify doesn't have any email addresses, send them stuff periodically. So.
Thank you, Walter. All right, anyone in the fourth row? Mary?
Good evening. I'm Mary Shea, a longtime Gilson neighbor. After last summer's residential surveys conducted by Lakota, Mr. Tanucci publicly stated in November that Plan 1 was favored by residents. The board did not vote on a plan, but went on to solicit cost estimates for various road reconfigurations, which were presented on December 13th. The December discussion concluded with a consensus that a circulation survey be sent to residents containing three options. Option 1, leave the upper drive as it exists and convert Middle Drive to a smaller pedestrian walkway. 2, leave upper drive as it exists and remove Middle Road entirely. 3, remove upper drive and Middle Road altogether. This was reported in the minutes, which were approved on January 10th, 2022. Unfortunately, according to the current director's report received before this meeting, option 1 appears to have been removed from the prospective resident survey. I trust you will rectify that omission. In the director's report, that's the way it was listed. If the board had adopted Plan 1 favored by residents, we would not be considering yet another community survey. Safety has been a planning watchword. To that end, an alternative pedestrian path has been proposed from Michigan Avenue to the picnic area, merging with the existing Middle Road, providing a safe and spacious path through the park, ending at the walkway to the beach with no loss of trees. This alternative path idea should be included in the survey. The ADA issue can be resolved. At the December meeting, the commissioners agreed to remove a bathroom from further consideration as it was seen to be cost prohibitive. Lakeview Center facilities and the porta potties were deemed sufficient. Observation of park usage reveals that people enjoying picnics prefer to arrange tables under a shade tree for their own private gatherings. The fact that the existing picnic shelter was rented only 18 times last year suggests that adding another one is not called for. Shade trees are what people want. Another shelter does not suffice for multiple picnics. The cost of removing roads must be included in the survey. And what is the purpose of removing or changing the roads? Who are we serving? Saying that removing roads adds to the green space without stating the real costs of tree loss and increased traffic congestion renders the survey unreliable. How can all the residents be reliably included in a survey? Sending an email survey to only the Park District's fee-paying customers is not a reliable measure. There are residents who don't use email and tax-paying residents who don't use Park District programs but do enjoy the park. Past boards have looked at changing roads, and the board's own consultants in 2013 found that the current road configuration was the most workable and should not be changed. Removing or changing roads disrupts the historical character of the park, which has served so well for 100 years. Moving or rearranging roads does nothing to solve climate change. Trees do. Residents have repeatedly said they want the roads and sewers fixed. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. All right, anybody else in the fourth row? All right, fifth row? Last row? Is there anyone who would like to address us who hasn't? Please.
Hello. My name is Paul Christensen. I'm an Evanston resident. I live at 2521 Ridgeway Avenue, which is no more than a mile away from here. When I moved here 16 years ago from London, I asked at the Centennial Rink, how can I engage with a group of men and play hockey? And I met the founder of the Greyhawks. So I'm here to support Jim Cook's statement earlier. I only want to say that when I moved here, I had young children. We have been faithful members of the Centennial Park District, whether it's the pools, whether it's my participation in hockey. And I'd like you to think about the access that the men's adult hockey program provides for inter-community bonding among families and communities. So thank you very much.
I grew up at 2527 Marcy, so I know exactly where you live.
Very good.
Is there anyone else who would like to address us this evening? Yes.
My name is Larry Versino, one of the owners of the Wilmette Bicycle and Sport Shop. We're very much involved in starting hockey in Wilmette. I've been a resident of Wilmette for 68 years and continue to be a resident. And I'm hoping to still be able to play hockey in Wilmette. I've been doing it my entire life, and that's been a slot that's been kind of cherished for us for years, many, many years. So I just want to make mention of that, and hopefully you'll see it that way as well.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? As I had said a few minutes ago, we will not be discussing the question of hockey again this evening. We are definitely going to talk about it in 2 weeks. So if anyone wants to stay and enjoy the rest of our meeting, you are more than welcome to. But if you would like to exit stage right, as they say, no one will be offended. So just wanted to give folks a heads up, and thank you for coming in here this evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, in the past, we would then go through committee reports. As you heard at our last board meeting, we have decided to move away from standing committees to a committee of the whole structure. So there are no committee reports. We'll go on to the executive director's report, and one of the things that he will be highlighting is how the committee of the whole will work moving forward. So take it away.
In a very high level.
At a very high level, and still to be discussed.
Don't want to overpromise.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Well, welcome to summer. First day of summer kicked off with camp today. School let out last week. It's always fun as I make my way to the office to see the army of red shirt counselors as they're getting to all their various sites, getting ready to receive the kids, and then circle back through once the kids are there and watch them all getting to know each other. It's a fun day for us here as the staff, and so far everything is off to a great start. So thank you to the staff, and more importantly, thank you to all of our full-time staff who did an amazing job of getting all the people hired to make the summer happen. We are staffed almost similarly as we were in 2019 prior to the pandemic, and it's a testament to all their hard work getting everyone in. So we're off and running. Also, in my report, I do hit on the West Park planning in and around Paddle and the ordinance from the village. Just to reiterate what's in there in the written format, the staff's working to make sure we can comply with the ordinance from the village. We've already done a first round of communication on conduct and behavior expectations to the members. Another round will be sent out as the season begins and members are back in season mode. We are also developing wording for signage in and around the facility. Engineers are refining a lighting solution. They had an initial idea. They've met and discussed with our Parks Department and specifically our electrician. They're going back to the drawing board and making a couple revisions based on the knowledge they gained there. Landscape plans are in draft form, and a meeting with the Director of Community Development has already been asked for this week. And the shields for the lights are on hand, and we're waiting for the contractor to come on site to install those. Moving on to the Committee of the Whole, as Commissioner Murdoch pointed out, at the May meeting, the board inactivated standing committees as of June 1st and moved it to a Committee of the Whole format. That means we have to figure out exactly how that's going to work. And at the present time, the plan is to have one board meeting and one COW meeting per month, but obviously, as needed, more Committee of the Whole meetings can be added. Sorry, COW stands for Committee of the Whole. I know I just used shorthand there. And then the design of the meeting is is to have a framework that helps us move projects from inception to planning to approval to execution in a more clear manner that hopefully provides some structure to our process, but also transparency to the community. And then lastly, we'll be giving operational updates on a monthly basis as we had historically at the standing committees, but adding to it a more robust presentation on a quarterly basis that will update not only financial results, but operational results to the full board and the community. Moving on, as Mrs. Shea pointed out, Gilson Park Comprehensive Plan is also on your agenda tonight. I did outline in the memo the ideas to be surveyed. I know it has been some time since this board has taken this matter up, so wanted to bring the topic back, have some conversation in and around that, make sure everyone's on the same page, move it out to the public. So that is under new business for you. That's under unfinished business. Under new business, we have some items that did go through the Finance Committee, Finance and Policy Committee, but since we don't have those standing committee reports, we put it under new business. It was the first time it's come to the full board. So Superintendent Foy will walk us through the annual audit. Again, the Finance Committee reviewed it, had some questions that led to some changes. She will outline what those changes are. Also, she'll walk us through the procurement policy, again, the changes that were made to it, and help get everyone up to speed on that before your consideration. And then lastly, the Finance Committee asked for a marketing and communication presentation. We have two staff members here with us tonight, Marlon Rodas and Allison Rhodes from our marketing team. They'll make the presentation to you here as well under new business. And that concludes my report.
Great. Just picking up on the committee of the whole briefly. Again, we have one scheduled 2 weeks from today. Last year, one of the things that I was pleased about this group is that every commissioner had a leadership position. I think that may have been the first time that's happened. And obviously, that won't be the case with the reduction in committees. One of the questions, open questions we have is who will chair these committees? The committee of the whole. The board operations manual currently states that the president chairs committee of the whole meetings. I think at the last meeting, Kara discussed other possibilities, which I would be very supportive of. I think it probably, for me personally, I think it makes sense that we rotate, and anyone who wants an opportunity to chair a meeting will sort of take a turn in the rotation. But it does lead to the question that we have a meeting coming up in 2 weeks. And so I just wanted to ask the other commissioners, is anyone interested in chairing that meeting in 2 weeks?
I am fine if you chair that meeting. It's the first one. I think that would be appropriate, and we make a decision after that.
Okay, fair enough. And then I think one of the things we're going to discuss at that meeting with a plan to then codify it at the board meeting is a couple of minor changes to the board operations, organization operations manual. Hopefully I got that right. One, I think we noted the annual meeting. The document currently states that the annual meeting happens after the other meeting, even though our practice has always been that it happens before, which is the practice we followed last month. But we should, in fact, document that if that's how we plan to continue to do that. We should create that flexibility so other members can chair the committee. And I think Cecilia Commissioner Clark had asked about how we would add items to the agenda, because the board operations manual is silent on that. So I think we should clarify that as well. So hopefully that will be a topic. I expect that will be a topic of the committee of the whole, and then we can adopt it at the next meeting. So very good. All right. Next, anything else that concludes your report?
Can I just add one more thought to the committee of the whole transition,
Please.
unless
Yeah.
we're going to dive into that anymore? I know Kara couldn't be here, but when we made the decision to shift and there was a lot of discussion, I know it's been discussed for a long time about best practices and how we can be most efficient, how we can involve the full board. But Kara had really done a lot of research on sort of how the committees could be, not committees, how our meetings could be more efficient, but also really involve that whole community, increase community engagement and participation, and really of all of the board members. So I'm not articulating sort of all of the research and thoughts that went into what Kara kind of pulled together that helped inform that decision, but I know that there was a lot of discussion and thought put into sort of that shift. So just wanted to acknowledge that since Kara couldn't be here tonight.
Absolutely, and she is out of the country, and that was a trip that was planned long ago. I know she would have loved to have been here one way or another, for sure. Thank you. All right, item 6.0 on our agenda, unfinished business, the GILLSON Plan Comprehensive Plan, the discussion. Steve, do you want to, I know you gave a brief introduction during your executive director's report. You want to tee it up again for us?
Sure. I'm hoping we just have a misunderstanding, Mary, because I think you, as you were saying, the options, I was nodding along thinking you got them right. So I think it might just be wording here. So the 3 roadway options that I recall from the December meeting was to keep the roads in place and convert the middle drive from a non-vehicular, from a vehicular roadway to a non-vehicular roadway. So basically keeping the park pretty much intact as is, as designed, adding the sidewalks, but also removing vehicular access to Middle Drive. The other one is to remove Middle Drive, replace it with lawn and trees and plantings. And then the third option is removing Upper and Middle Drive, and again, replacing it with lawns and trees and plantings. And then lastly, the kind of options, add-ons, as I call them in this in the memo, for satellite bathroom, picnic shelters, boardwalk on South Beach to preserve dune grass, and a potential sailing center. So that's generally the recap. But since so much time had gone by, I thought it made sense to bring it back here, talk about it, make sure we are all still in agreement with that.
Okay. Any thoughts about what additional information we might include, or any of that we might remove?
Yeah, and I think that, Steve, your addition just now is really helpful. While there are 4 plans, Plan 1 being the most, I might use the word modest, in that it primarily maintains the roadway and maintains the park as it is. There are 4 options and 3 roadway configurations. So I can very much imagine how someone might become, how the language could become confused. But there is no decision about removing any one of the plans at this time. So I think that's an important clarification to make.
Steve, you circulated an email earlier today about if the sailing improvements, move forward, that where they're currently planned are not on a easement for the water reclamation. Is that what they're water reclamation?
No, it's the Village of Wilmette's water plant.
Okay, so
It's the water intake. For the
water
treatment
intake,
plant.
right? So I distinctly recall seeing their easement come straight out of that circular area.
For
That's
sure.
exactly where the sailing shack is right now, and where the proposed building are. So I think we need to take a second look at that if there is to try and even consider moving forward with some improvements over there sometime in the future.
Right. So I wasn't debating whether it was over the easement. The easement is subsurface. It's not at the surface level for the intake pipe that extends out into the water. So we have complete autonomy at the surface level. I did confirm with the Village of Wilmette's director of their water plant if they were going to impact any of our facilities when they did their work. The answer was no. So it isn't that their work is going to displace our facilities and require a rebuild. We still have the ability to rebuild kind of wherever because the easement will not dictate it down there.
But as you look at construction, sewer lines, they dig up and they put it in, right? And there's talk of them addressing the 100-year-old intake pipe, and that is in that easement. They would dig up. They have the right then to access that whole line to replace it. Even though their easement is subsurface, they would come through the surface to get to it to replace that line. So I'd love to hear them say they're not going to do that, and then.
Yeah, I didn't ask about specific construction methods, but they said it wasn't going to impact our facilities.
And they may use directional boring, not that we need to get into it here, but it's possible.
I think what I was going to raise, though, is that, we've never, as a board, we have never discussed the sailing center and how it is. So I think that I do not see that, I do not think it should be sent out for survey, because we ourselves, as, representatives of the community, have never discussed it or considered different type of facilities, or, and now, especially now that there may be some other issues, I just don't think it should be a part of that it should be sent out, because we are so far away from that idea, it's just not useful. So that's.
I would agree with that. What do other commissioners, any other opinions?
I think it needs to be in there only for the fact that if there is demand, that you have to plan for it. It is similar to the conversation earlier, many months ago, about, hey, we don't need it. The sailors say they don't need it, but the scuttlebutt is that, the newer users of the sailing beach are interested in having a bathroom. Let's see if that's really true. If it is, then we can talk about where it goes. Because nowhere in the survey is it dictating that it goes in that location.
However, I will say a bathroom can be a different structure from a sailing facility, and that is part of the question. Do we have and that we have not discussed as a board or taken any type of feedback on. To me, that would be a totally different type of feedback from the users of the sailing beach. And how they want that. Do they want a larger facility that includes all this, or do they want the existing facility with a separate bathroom?
I see what the differentiation is that you're talking about. I'm thinking bathroom, you're thinking the existing structure to expand the existing structure. Okay.
Yes, and that's what I think the survey shows. Yes.
Where I'm having difficulty is, and I see our board experiencing this in a couple of different situations, is that we have short-term needs that are being delayed by long-term wishes in a way. And I don't think that, I'd like to find a solution for addressing the short-term needs without completely doing away with the long-term wishes, because I think it is worth surveying our community for those long-term ideas. However, if it's impeding our short-term needs of fixing these roads and getting a safe walkway in, then we need to rethink what the words master plan means to us. So when I think of a master plan, I think of it as a forward-thinking 1, 3, 5, 10-year lookout of what we can do, how we can build our future and have our residents have input to where we want Gilson to be. But right now, what I see it doing is impeding the construction and the infrastructure of our our park that is in desperate need of it. So I'd like to put it back to everyone to ask, how can the two be met? I still believe that a survey including wishes and wants is important. I just want to get moving on fixing the roads.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I know that it's worth studying and surveying around sailing needs and wants. I also know we have a deteriorating infrastructure on the south side of Gilson, south of the beach house. So just like we've studied the beach house and the needs and the vehicular circulation, I think it's worth studying the sailing beach. I worry if we commingle these right now without a lot of investigation yet of sailing, and we're fairly far on the other elements of the project, we'll miss a step. Maybe it's just two separate surveys, 2 months apart. But either way, I think it's worth moving ahead on the comprehensive plan concept survey in order to make progress there while not slowing down an eventual evaluation of the sailing beach.
I'm not sure I understand, and please, I'm not trying to be argumentative at all. I'm not sure I understand how one question on this current survey about whether they need sailing infrastructure slows down the process.
We haven't talked about the sailing idea at all as a board. So we would need to investigate that in order to write or evaluate a survey question.
So if there was demand, let's assume that we leave the question about the sailing structure in there in the survey, and we see that there is some demand for it.
I don't think there's any denying there's demand. I think there's certainly interest from the sailing community.
I understand. So isn't that fitting into what you guys are saying, the 3, 5, 7, 10-year plan? So, we have this interest. Okay, now we can do something separate and say, let's address this sailing thing. In the meantime, we've got the survey results on the road, if there's any add-ons that we're going to do that are more immediate. So
and
at least gather some
question.
information
That's
sailing.
my question, right? I'm saying I still want to hear the wishes. I want our community to be able to weigh in. My first question typically is staff asking for this? What is staff seeing? What is staff hearing? How would they use it? What are they feeling each day that is a need in the community? And the things that are mentioned as add-ons, I am very interested in hearing more about them, how they would be utilized. So I don't want to wipe them away. I want to be very clear in saying that. I want to make sure we ask our community about those things, and I think it should be inclusive of a much longer list of options than just sailing or just a shade structure. I think we should be asking them questions about how the park works and functions as a whole. I just don't want that to slow us down in getting the roads fixed. And so I don't know if when I think of a master plan, I think of it as all-inclusive of everything and of that 1, 3, 5, 10 year. But right now, I actually see the master plan slowing us down from actually getting the roads done. And that's my worry. So should they be separate so that we can actually get these roads and infrastructure fixed finally? Or are we still calling it a master plan, and do we need to wait on it all so that we can continue to survey and find out about the other things? It's a question to everyone. I really would like the dialogue around it.
So if I could just clarify a little bit of the back and forth. So I hear you saying, and I think we're all in agreement, that we want to get a plan to address the infrastructure as quickly as possible because it's in such bad shape. I hear Patrick asking the question, if we include this question on the survey, how does that slow us up, in the sense that I assume what I heard you say was, we'll ask the question, we'll get the data, and then
But that doesn't
to some
slow
extent we
down,
can
yeah.
put it aside and
Yeah.
still address the others. But as
Yeah.
long as we're in the process of doing a survey,
Why not
let's
gather
ask
information?
some,
Yeah.
if as long as it doesn't make the survey too cumbersome. Is
That's
where
all
I-
I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with that, as long as, do we feel that the add-ons are all encompassing? Because I do feel that when we keep thinking about add-ons, it has slowed us to this point. And so I don't want that to continue to happen.
But I think when you look at any kind of a plan for a facility this large, you never. It's like we're not building a new house. We're tackling the kitchen, and then we're going to tackle the bathroom, and then we're going to tackle bedrooms or an addition. Right? That's kind of the way that I've always thought that we were going to be approaching this. We all know that the number one issue is drainage off the roads. If we're going to remove a road, some safety with a sidewalk or however we're going to address it. And then secondary also, which we've started working on, I believe, is the landscape plan. So we can start talking about where trees are getting replanted in addition to replacing what it may be lost if we rebuild something there. So I've always looked at this as it's a staged process regardless of how we're never going in there and as we're doing the roads, putting up a shade structure or adding a bathroom or whatever it may be. That's just how I've always addressed it. And I don't know.
I agree with you, and I think they have to be tackled piecemeal because it is such a large-scale process. Where I feel frustration is, for example, today had a conversation with a friend whose husband passed this year, interested in our memorial program. And we don't have a memorial program because we're waiting on a landscape plan. We're waiting on the landscape plan because we're waiting on the infrastructure to be done. And so that ripple down effect has a broader effect on our public than I am comfortable with at this point. And by continuing to think of new ideas, which is our role, and I love that part of this, it's preventing us from doing what I think needs to be done over what we want to be done. So I want to separate the two. And frankly, I think we continue to call it a master plan. Master planning is inclusive of everything. We, at this point, need a roadway plan. I almost would rather retitle it in our agenda, let's get our roadway and infrastructure plan done. And actually, if we're talking about master plan, it needs to be something bigger than that let's get our roads done.
This really has, I think, evolved away from a master plan into an infrastructure plan. And I think that's, and I guess I feel that is kind of where we should be addressing it. And rather than a drawing of a proposed like longer driveway that just which we have never discussed as a board and never got any input from, provided input for the community, for the sailing community. So I'm not really comfortable with including that on a survey, which could create more, which has never been, we've never really broached that subject. So would like to just remove this from now. It's not saying that will never come up and that will never be an issue, but at this point, I agree with Allison on focus on the infrastructure and not be really distracted by other.
And Lindsay, I'd like to come to you, but just a point of clarification. Am I hearing you to say that you're not interested in surveying this particular question, or you're not interested in surveying any of the potential add-ons that Steve discussed?
I am interested in surveying, absolutely. I just don't want that to impede the roadway. I don't want in any way someone looking at a survey to think that one can't be done without the other, or that they have to occur simultaneously. So whether it's in the narrative we present, it needs to be very clear that construction on our roadways can begin without the add-ons being
slowing things down.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay.
And I think that is accomplished more easily in having just the roadways being asked first, and the add-ons really being a conversation of the what ifs for the future that can be done piecemeal without impacting the start of construction on the roadways.
All right, Cecilia? Are you in?
No,
yes,
I guess, yes, I'm sorry. To a large extent, I am with Allison. I really do want to focus on the roadways and on that. I think I am somewhat curious of what the community's view might be, and I will say about a picnic shelter. But I guess I think I've said that I feel like the sailing beach is its own special category and needs to be treated as its own special category. And just as we've carved out Lakeview and Wallace Bowl, that the sailing facility, needs to be. It's not time. Yeah, it's not time to address that right yet.
Okay. Lindsay, any thoughts?
Well, to be fair, when we last discussed this in December, I was sort of drinking from a fire hose. So I'm just trying to think back, though. So just, I guess, if I could ask a question. I mean, where the board last left this in December, our focus was on circulation, and that we would do a survey on road configuration. So we now have that with these add-ons, right? So my question is with the concerns of timing, but also our goals here, right? So our goals are, I think there seems to be agreement. Let's move some things forward, that this absolutely essential maintenance and maintenance. At the same time, we want as much community input as possible on everything that we're considering. So I guess my question back to the board is this the right time for these additional questions? And can I ask you, Steve, why these questions now, and why this sort of set of questions, given that I know our goal is a survey on circulation with the goal of, as much input as possible. Can I just ask you sort of why these questions, why now?
I think it's because I think what Commissioner Duffy was outlining is if you're going to do a comprehensive plan, you want to know what all you want to include so you can plan for it appropriately, whether you're going to implement it right away, or if it's to be determined somewhere down the road or implemented somewhere down the road. So that would be why. But to Commissioner Frazier's point about, other things are being held up because roadways and sewers are not being fixed and they need to be fixed. this survey could very easily turn into just a circulation question. The add-ons can be put on a back burner and we can seek input and feedback somewhere else.
Okay.
So given that background, what are your thoughts?
A very unhelpful down the background.
Well, and it could have been, I just don't have as much background on the Sailing Beach as a newer member and not having, I think, discussed that as much. And the restroom. So one other question. I think there was some discussion around not including a restroom, but obviously we haven't voted or made any final decisions about anything. But we're just including that to keep all options to make sure we get maximum input from, is that the goal of, for example, including restroom?
If we were to survey add-ons, but again, back to Mary's point, I thought there was some discussion about not including the restrooms, and I think given the cost and the proximity to other restrooms, even if the community supported it, I think I would probably have trouble voting to spend that money. So I think, given that background, I'd certainly be comfortable cutting that from the discussion. But I think the broader question is, at this point, are we going to just survey circulation and then perhaps seek additional community input or go through another process for some enhancements, whether it's a picnic shelter or it's the boardwalks into the dune or whatever? Are we going to decouple the two? Or are we going to try to gather as much information right now? I think that's the question before us. And I think that's what we're discussing as a group. If we decide that we want to gather it all, then we should talk about what information we want to gather. We could have a further conversation about bathrooms or about the sailing shack or whatever the case may be. I think we should first decide whether we want the survey to be strictly about circulation or more of we're sort of using the term master plan with other potential amenities that may or may not be built at some point in the future, but that we all agree would not in any way slow down the construction addressing the infrastructure needs. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's the question before us.
Yeah, if you're going to send a survey out, you're going to ask questions, right? Let's get some feedback. If we're going to change the survey again, are we not slowing the process down?
Patrick, I totally agree with you. I just want to be very clear when surveying to say one does not. I think where it can be challenging for our public is to look at a survey that suddenly, they were last talking about roads. Oh, now there's a bathroom. Now there's when we introduce new options, I know that we're calling them add-ons, and I want to very clearly here say these are nothing that have been voted on. We are discussing them. But when we're so close to being a yes on the front end with the road configuration, to be introducing all of these different ideas, which are only ideas, I think it could be confusing as a user to say, oh, so they're putting a bathroom in? Oh, so and it could, I feel that it muddles the information on the front end, which is what we need to have happen, which is the roadway configuration. I want all of the information. You know that I love surveys. I wish we could I wish we could go door to door to ask everyone.
Yeah. You want community feedback on it.
Exactly.
Right? The whole
I just
community.
wonder if that would be, I wonder if that is best suited to either have some write-up to say, we will be doing the roadways, here are the other things that we'd like to discuss and ask about, or if that's better accomplished and clearer to have them separate. And I'm open to either.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to add, I guess, then I would ask the question too, if we do include additional topics, are there any topics that are not included, that are missing?
And I think we should talk about those topics right now. So a bathroom has been mentioned, a shelter has been mentioned. Are there other things that the boardwalks, are there other things that, are possibilities within GILLSON that we should consider?
Well, I think that was the reason we retained Lakota. So,
exactly.
And it seems like that, I mean, the feedback I think has gotten at that, no, there isn't. So, I have curiosity, but I think listening to all that, I think that we should just do the configuration. That's what we said we would do back in December, that we would just do the road configuration and just go from there.
So I hear Cecilia saying strictly circulation. I hear Patrick saying, let's consider some other add-ons. I hear Ally saying, I'm sort of open either way, depending upon how it's communicated. That I'd like to get more information. I'd like to survey, but I don't want to slow anything. I don't want there to be an impression that we slow it down. Julia, where are you?
Yeah, I've been listening to all of this and kind of reflecting on it. There's a couple of ways that a survey designer might handle this. And one is to say, first, I have a topic to discuss with you, topic ABC. Thank you for your input on that. I have a new topic. Here are some amenities or additional options. This is really a question that you put back to the consultant and say, how would you pose this to ensure it doesn't become confusing? Either way, you're still going to run the risk that people won't fully follow, that if they choose roadway option A and then they realize a little bit later that there's restrooms associated, and then they think, well, I don't want to have a restroom near the road. I'm making this up, but hypothetically speaking, you're still going to run the risk, no matter how carefully you package it, to say, thank you for your input on topic A, let's go to topic B. There's always a risk that the consumer will be confused. So this is one I would put back to the market researcher. So as far as survey design as an area of expertise, but more practically speaking, we are a couple of years into an effort to improve roadways, infrastructure, and sewer handling. So I think however we choose to design a survey, we still need to find a way to advance that portion of the project, while we can always add on perhaps a shelter, perhaps a sailing beach facility. In any case, that would be a phased project. Roadways followed by landscaping or followed by a shelter.
Okay, thank you.
So where are you? What are you supporting? You really didn't say what you felt.
None of us are survey designers. So I'm hearing a lot of discussion about why this should be handled a certain way or not. I'm like Commissioner Fraser, and I think like Commissioner Clark, saying, let's see what we can do to advance the core part of the project. Do that quickly. And I think there's risk in introducing these other ideas or amenities, and maybe even not a full list of other ideas and amenities. So I want to get input on the configuration of the roads, full stop.
So you'd like to limit it to roadway configuration? Okay. All right. Lindsay?
If it means more questions and more information from our consultants that's going to slow that down, then yes, I would prefer roadways only. If we can just move this forward. There are a lot of questions about these add-ons. I'm going to throw one other thought out there. I know that we want as much input as possible. Can we ask the question, an opportunity for an open-ended, what else does Gilson Park need? And then if the community wants to add in that we need restrooms, that we need, or we can get other ideas, but can we just ask without suggesting any of these, just ask a general, what else does Gilson Park need? Does that allow us to get some input maybe on some type of things without slowing down the survey, without raising questions, because I do, my biggest concern is the confusion. And we all know that there's been a lot of confusion and misinformation around planning around Gilson. So I do think it's important to avoid that. And with questions that have been raised, I would have concerns about including the additional topics.
I love the idea of there being an open section to ask. It's not leading then, which is something, we certainly do not want. We want genuine open feedback on options in the park that are separate from what we plan to do immediately, which is the roadway. President Murdoch, I'm curious, you've been listening. Let's hear your thoughts.
I have been listening. I walked into the meeting, very much aligned with Patrick's perspective, and I think I'm still there, that I think more information is better than less. I struggle with the notion that if we ask some additional questions, that somehow will slow down the process. I think more information, more data is good. I don't see any harm in asking an open-ended question. Back to Julia's comment that we're not survey designers. I think there's a reason why they design the surveys with fairly specific questions so you get a response as opposed to something that's open-ended. But I absolutely believe that we need to get something out sooner than later, preferably yesterday. So anything that causes us to go back and go into another round with the consultants and more discussions and more concepts, I'm very uncomfortable with. I want to get something out as quickly as possible. So if we were hiring a surveyor and I think it was Acuity, is that right, Steve, that we used a number of years ago, and we have a very large expense, and then for us to do a second survey is another large expense, I would be extremely uncomfortable with that. If this is an internal survey and, whether the information goes out in one phase or two, I imagine the cost is negligible. I imagine the additional work in doing it is negligible. There's probably a little bit more effort compiling two sets of data as opposed to one. Certainly if we have an open-ended question where there are a myriad of responses, there's going to be some time collecting that. But I think, so I struggle with the notion that asking these additional questions is going to in any way slow down the process. On the other hand, I don't see the harm in decoupling the two. And if there are others here who think that it may be confusing or it may somehow slow the process or make it more difficult to get survey results, I see no harm in doing a very simple, straightforward circulation survey that we've all said we want this to be a simple, straightforward survey that people can do quickly. I think we've internally kicked around the stroller standard, and I love that, by the way, that you can do it while you're
pushing a
stroller. Right. So
that's my test.
Yep. So because we are doing all of this in-house, I would be comfortable decoupling the two so we can have longer conversations about whether a sailing facility that includes bathrooms or doesn't is included or not, whether we include restrooms in the survey or not, whether we include the boardwalks or picnic shelters, or we decide that we don't need to survey those things. We can have longer conversations about that. But as I said, I walked into the meeting very much with the same perspective as Patrick. I think I'm still there, but I haven't heard any reason why doing sort of the minimum now precludes us from doing something else, whether it's a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. So let's get something done. I think that's where I'm at. Let's get something done.
I just want to, we had this consultant for over a year work with us to get to this point. The options that are in the survey right now weren't pulled out of thin air. There were meetings with the public at the French Market, at the Lakeview Center, where they receive feedback to get us to this point. So to now say, well, this is just pulled out of thin air, the request to, hey, do we need a bathroom? Do we need shelter? Do we need any of these other things? I think is just wasting all the money and the time that we put into the consultant's work over the last year and a half, and the outreach to the community that they already did, which got us here. So I understand, and I'm fully into moving this forward because realistically, GILLSON has been on the burner since
2008.
2007.
So to move forward, I'm 100% there, but I just think that to say that we should just throw this, part of this out because it's not
throw out. I don't want to throw it out.
I think that mischaracterizes that.
I want to focus on one and not dilute.
So throw it out's a bad word. To move forward with our eyes on just one part of the survey and not trying to gather information that we've already been led here by community input to gather more responses from people, right? Because with the French Market, with the Lakeview Center, with all this, the meetings that they had, it was only a few hundred people that had given input that got us here. So the idea of this survey is to reach out to more. So let's hit a couple of thousand people and get some responses, and let's see if there's any meaning behind what we heard from the first few hundred. And to say, hey, let's do a second survey that's going to cost us more time, more money, and yes, it'll lead us there, but I don't think it gets us to getting the roads done any faster.
So if I could just jump in for 1 second, just to clarify, because you said specifically that it will cost us more time and more money, and that's what I'm trying to understand, what the cost is, because I agree with you. I would like input on these other topics as well. I'm not sure I believe, and as I said, I came into the meeting wanting to survey everything. As I've listened to everyone, I'm just not sure, maybe you can help, clarify what the cost, and maybe Steve can as well, what the cost and what the time would be, decoupling the two and doing a second survey if they're both internal surveys. I'm not sure there will be much more time or much more cost. I think there might be a little bit, but I'm not sure that's a meaningful argument. So that's what's going on in my head as I think about this. I mean, so what's the harm from your perspective if, and we'll ask Steve, and maybe he can or maybe he can't clarify, but if there is not much additional cost and there is not much additional staff time, is there a harm in decoupling these if some of the commissioners here feel that focusing on just the roadway circulation now will move that piece faster? That's my question that maybe either of you could address.
I don't do anything internally here. So.
Yeah, so he opened it up to both of us.
I did.
I wanted to give you an option. I agree with you, Commissioner Murdoch, that while there will be additional consultant time and additional consultant fees for that time to write a second survey, collect that data, provide the data back to us, it's not the same kind of cost or investment by the district as it was with the acuity survey, where it was man hours, manning a phone bank, answering questions, walking people through the survey. That is a much more high dollar mark than this would be. Yes, it's time and it is money, but it's not significant.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? So the consultants identified these 4 additional topics based on community input.
Yes, that's correct.
So what about additional topics that are not being proposed by the consultants that maybe we heard from the community on, like nature area or bird sanctuary? There were other things that were suggested for GILLSON, right? So how was this list narrowed down? Is there sort of data that shows in terms of community input that there was more interest in these 4 things? Was it, because it wasn't necessarily board discussion, right, that led to these 4 topics being narrowed down. So what was it? Is there, and maybe I missed it, or maybe I'm just trying to better understand how we landed on these 4.
I can get a more detailed response from the consultants, but my understanding of the process is these were the topics that were most commonly referred to, most commonly asked for, not every topic. We've heard everything range from additional recreational amenities to more nature areas and all over, but these were the ones that kind of rang the bell the most often.
And I think, for example, just one specific thing that comes to mind where we then added some input, my recollection, and anyone else can clarify, there were some folks who used the dog beach who talked about the possibility of having a bathroom that direction. And we gathered some information about, I don't think we had hard infrastructure costs, but there were some concerns about another lift station and some other complications. And so we as a group decided we didn't want to look at a bathroom that far away because we thought that would be prohibitively expensive. So then there was some talk about looking at a bathroom that was closer to the tennis courts, which obviously then is also closer to the Lakeview Center where there is a bathroom. And so then there was a question about whether we should consider that, but that would perhaps at least be in the realm of possible financially. But again, back to Mary's comment, I think there was some talk about pulling that out as well. I don't recall the specific conclusion.
Yeah, it was because of the expense and the whole
And the
idea,
distance. I think
the
those two
distance,
things, right,
the lift
yeah.
station.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think there were other ideas, and I think there were some other ideas that maybe did have some community support, but we didn't think that we'd be comfortable moving forward with them for cost reasons, for example. So we did pull some of that out based on feedback with the consultants. That's my recollection. Maybe anybody else can weigh in as well.
We've been talking quite a bit about this, the item of what's in the roadway section of the survey and what is in the additional add-on concepts. And I've spent the last couple of minutes just looking back at the December and November presentations, and not once did we see a plan from Lakota that had the sailing facility outlined. It was always about the roadways and the amenities on the south side of the beach house. And so I think that that's the only piece that Commissioner Clark was asking about. Could a beach facility or a sailing beach facility be added? I think it's a really intriguing idea. I just don't think we've surveyed it yet or even discussed it. So that's, I think, the question that you're asking.
Yeah, I'm certainly open to.
I think anyone would
discussing
agree.
it. I just don't think this is the time. I mean, I'm certainly I would like to get feedback from the sailing community.
Because we've talked a lot about these other issues.
You know, I mean, I've been on the lakefront committee for 3 years, and that's, often we get sailors, and I would like to, but we've never discussed that as a board, and I just don't think this is Lakota has never provided us with any type of drawings or designs, and I just don't think that this is the time.
So again, that's one specific add-on, if you will. But again, I phrased the question in terms of whether we want to survey add-ons in general at this point or not. And I think what I've heard is 3 commissioners are opposed to surveying add-ons at this point. We have 2 that are somewhat on the fence, and we have 1 that clearly wants to. Is that so?
I mean, I'm definitely curious about some of these add-ons, but I think I have to agree that right now, I want to get the infrastructure moving. I mean, this has been dragging on for so long, and I just want to get that moving. And I kind of agree that I'm more, that I am concerned that by putting in some other add-ons. I mean, I'm very curious about some of the S's, but I'm just not sure if this is actually the time. I mean, I would love to do a few others.
So Patrick, I've heard from Steve that he doesn't believe it's a meaningful additional expense. And so based on that, I'm comfortable decoupling the 2 and doing it in a 2-phased approach where we can then have more conversations about what might or might not go into this add-on question. Are you comfortable? I understand that's not your preference, but are you comfortable with that?
I really don't see the point of saying that just because you're decoupling them, as you're calling it, if they were together, that we still couldn't discuss these add-ons at a future point and have more input on them at a future point. So if you guys would like to decouple it, it will be 5-1. That is how I feel.
No, and that's fair enough. That's why I asked. So you still would like to move forward.
It's about gathering information. So.
Yep. All right. So Allie, you're the only person like me who's a little bit on the fence.
I don't want the message diluted of our infrastructure. The way I envision it now, I believe that it dilutes the message of we will be moving forward with a road design of these 3 options, yes or no, 4 options, excuse me, yes or no, and here are some things we could do. What do you think? I think about it the way I would talk to my children. If I'm going to list off things for them to do, they're going to remember the first thing that I say and forget everything else on the list. I think we're running into that situation. I think we need to learn from our previous, I won't call them mistakes, but our previous situations in surveying where our surveys were perhaps not as clear as they could have been. And I feel we are falling back into that with a survey of that nature where we are asking too many things of our public.
All right, so Steve, the direction from the board is to do a survey strictly on the circulation with 1 open-ended question. Is there anything else you'd like us to consider? And I would suggest that at the next committee of the whole meeting, we add to the agenda the discussion about other amenities and a follow-up survey and potential topics and timing for that.
Got it.
All right.
That sounds like
great.
And Mike, would this be an appropriate time just to talk about quickly, just as we share the survey, making sure that we share just a little bit of background?
Great. Thank you. So please, why don't you share some thoughts?
Sure. I just want to make sure that it's clear that knowing that I think obviously we have a lot of residents here who are very engaged and understand our very long process and all of the surveys and input and discussion. But there are also a lot of residents who don't understand the full picture and what it's taken to get us to this point. So just including to know that even if, we make zero changes, using different words, but changes to GILLSON, at a minimum, we do have to make some changes to infrastructure. We're calling that maintenance, I guess, and stormwater. So just want to make that clear much more succinctly than that. Also, just do want to acknowledge that we have heard very much that the natural character of the park and the trees and really preserving the park and how important it is and valued by our community, that we've heard that as we continue to seek additional input, and that this survey is really in response to public input, right, that we've received and that we're trying to focus in on. To make sure that we do acknowledge the broader process that's been much bigger than just this survey, and maybe mention just next steps, that we will be sharing the results of the survey or whatever that may be. So those were some ideas that I just wanted to throw out, and whether it's just putting that into an email with a few sentences, wanted to make sure we tried to clarify some of those things. I know, keep it succinct because we're throwing a lot of information out there.
Right, a little bit of history. I don't remember when it was now, but I think it goes back to the fall that the consultant put together a draft of a survey that we were uncomfortable with because it didn't pass the stroller test. And so I think we want to be careful that the survey itself is very succinct, but I agree with you, some sort of an introduction that gives a little bit of history, talks about the background, talks about where we are in the process, talks about next steps. I think it would be logical to include the possibility that there may be a follow-up survey with some additional questions about amenities so people understand. So whether it's a half page or a page and a half, it's not 12 pages, but just some sort of introductory information. And then I think we should ask staff, back to Walter's point, how we can get this information out to residents who may not be actively watching their emails or may not have an email account or whatever, so we can try to get information from the entire community. But I think that makes a lot of sense, so thank you. And I assume everyone's in agreement with that.
And I think having our website have that similar language on it is really important too.
Yep.
So wasn't there was a conversation that we had with the market research group that came and presented to us? Were we not, part
of the strategic planning process?
No, yeah, but maybe I'm mixing things up in my head here, but what do you call it? A sampling, sampling of the community that's like a representative sampling of the community, right? To reach out, that you don't just use your internal list that you go out and sample. I had to believe that that's what our current consultant was going to do with this, but maybe I'm mistaken. That did we not have a conversation about that? Or am I mixing from?
I think that was in the context of the comprehensive plan and the strategic plan, and again, referencing back to how we used Acuity in the past. So I don't recall specific conversations about how this
survey is going out.
Distributed.
Okay, yeah.
But I think there's a desire to hear from all sectors of the community.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else on this topic? Great. All right, new business, the Wilmette Park District Comprehensive Annual Plan. Sheila, you're up. And what's that? Yes, absolutely.
Annual report.
So the Financial Planning and Policy Committee in its last meeting had a chance to review the report. Cecilia and I and Kara were there, but for the benefit of our fellow commissioners.
So we had a lot of discussion about the numbers. Kara did an awesome job of doing an in-depth review, and we had a lot of conversations related to that. The numbers, I mean, you've seen what the numbers are. You've seen what the fund surplus looks like. The numbers are all pretty solid. Ron Amon, one of the partners from the CPA firm, was there, and he talked about it. There were 7 pages that changed from that meeting to the copy you're looking at here. The first is on page 21, in the first paragraph. The word was higher was corrected to lower, okay? On page 37, the first sentence was updated to the district does allocate indirect costs. And then in the statistical section where there was a bunch of yellow, all of that was updated with information from the Village of Wilmette because we report stuff that the Village of Wilmette reports on. And I didn't feel the need to redo all of that work. And what if it didn't, match? And so I just waited for Melinda to do her ACFR, and then I just took her stuff.
Great.
So the stuff has not changed. There were just some minor tweaks.
So do any commissioners have any question about the financial report?
No questions? None?
This is easy. Thank you very much.
Thanks for all your great work.
Thank you.
And Steve, just a point of clarification, do we need to adopt?
Accept.
Accept. And do we do that tonight?
We do.
I didn't see it on my action list. It's okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So a motion to accept the 2021.
Could someone move to accept the 2021 audit?
So move.
And a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Duffy?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sheila,
very much.
as always, for your thoroughness. We appreciate it.
I think I have the next
Yeah,
topic,
you're up
too.
on the procurement policy revision, and one of our residents asked if you could highlight the differences between the prior policy and the current policy.
I'm going to do that right now, okay? So the procurement policy was picked for updating because a law was passed by the House and the House and the Senate to increase the bid level. The amount of project needs to be where it has to go to bid, from $25,000 to $30,000. At the time, I didn't know that it needed to be signed into law by the governor. He has since signed that into law. So what happened was we updated the levels for signature authority. So the highest level for the executive director is now moved from $25,000 to, the wording is up to the state board threshold. It's currently $30,000. It was $25,000. So this way we don't have to update this.
Every time the state
Every time,
updates.
right.
That's great.
The second level was department heads to have their signing authority move from $3,000 to $10,000. The third level is for facility managers, forepersons and mechanics to $2,500 from $1,000 for facility managers and $750 for forepersons and mechanics. The fourth level is program supervisors up to $1,000 from $750. And then the lowest level is other staff, $500 up from $300. So there's changes in there. A lot of it has to do with the fact that policy hasn't been updated in a while. Prices are going up. And any of the other changes that were done were grammatical and not really material to the need of the policy. Those are the changes.
And with the increases, is there any concern about oversight? I mean, obviously, our auditor always takes a look at our controls, and every year we receive the top award, is my understanding. So there's no concern internally about oversight and controls?
I am not concerned about that. I know how I run my AP process, and we are always looking to make sure that everybody who needs to be seeing these vouchers or P cards or invoices are seeing those. The department heads are really the ones who are on the line to make sure that these expenses are appropriate. And up to $10,000 is an appropriate amount, I think, for the number of transactions that they all have to see.
And Sheila, I agree, those are appropriate and the increases are very small. Do you have any awareness of sort of, is this consistent with other similar districts or similar practice?
I did not look at that.
Okay.
I just looked to
was
see
just
what I
curious.
thought would be appropriate for our district.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right, I think that's a great question. I'm certainly comfortable proceeding today, but at some point in the next month or two, could you report back to us that this is consistent with other districts?
I can take a look and see.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the Illinois Governor Finance Officers, so I'll just send an email out to a few of them and see how they respond back.
I don't think there's any reason to hold up, but it'd be a good information. Sure. All right. With that, could I have a motion to approve our revised
So
procurement policy? And a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Duffy?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Policy is approved.
Thank you, Sheila. I keep asking the residents not to clap. Come on, Patrick, you're making me look bad. All right, I think the final item of new business on our agenda is a communication and marketing department update. So if the $6 million man could come up here and give us an update.
Who can make the
We can build him better, faster, stronger.
Best for last.
Hey, Marlon, you know these are directional, right? Right now, they're pointing at each other. If you point them more at you, yeah.
Nice.
Is this good?
Well, then you probably don't have to lean in because they're directional. They come, yeah.
All good there? Take his glasses off.
Clark Kent.
Clark Kent, I was thinking the same thing.
Not yet. I'm waiting for, where's my IT? My other hand. I've been practicing this.
Come on in.
There it is. I don't know how to top Sheila's presentation, so we're going to try.
She was incredibly efficient.
Yeah, very efficient. Mine's just going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors, so we're all good. Be right back. All right, before we jump in, I did want to, for the people in the back, Marlon Rodas, I'm the communications and marketing manager here. None of this would be possible also without my fantastic team, which would be Allison Rhodes, our communications specialist, and also Natalie Pierce, who isn't here, but she is our marketing coordinator. So I just wanted to thank them for everything that they're able to do and put up with me on a daily basis. So let's just dive right in. Marketing communications. Over 65 arts and general recreation classes and workshops quarterly. Marketing over 40 sports classes and leagues quarterly. 80 summer camps. Clients include 24 program supervisors, managers across 10 facilities, unique businesses such as preschool, golf club. Our executive team, which includes Steve, coming into my office and needing things quite a bit. But it also includes, Emily, Christy at West Park. We do all the marketing communications for them as well. Some of those aren't planned. It's just things that are needed because of our, community wanting more information on things, whether it's projects or programs or things of that nature. Our community consists of 26,696 residents, 9,717 households, and obviously surrounding communities. A little bit of what we do. We do 5 online seasonal program guides a year. Those include a camp guide. We also do monthly board briefs, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Monthly e-newsletters, website content development, maintenance, photography, social media. I'll just go down: banners, postcards, events. I'm extremely proud of the events that we're also able to do as a marketing department. Obviously, surveys, which we can't get enough of, analytics, and special projects, such as the St. Patty's Stroll that a lot of you were at, actually. So we thank you very much when you attend those. How do we do this? How do we get all that information out there to the public? Well, we use
Obviously, our board brief, e-newsletters, program guides, event planning. We continue with social media posts, like I said, our website, and even through special events like our Yankee Doodle Dash. What I like to call here, it's notable, but I'd like to call them some notable wins that we have. Increased enrollment. We have definitely been able to drive revenue through our enrollment that we've had through going online with our brochure. Yankee Doodle Dash. It's the camera over there. Yankee Doodle Dash, July 2nd. Register now. So just a plug-in for that. It's coming up. St. Patty's Stroll, like I said, our Explore program guide online. It used to be a 100-page printed program guide distributed to every household 4 times a year. Last time we printed that was spring-summer 2020. Once we went online with it, though, we were able to save over $100,000 a year. That includes printing, labor, and postage. Our enrollment increased dramatically with that. And honestly, another thing, I think it was just the green choice as well. As you can see here, just to look at some of the numbers that we have here from enrollment, this is day 1 enrollment. Going back all the way to 2018, obviously we're doing very well. Day 1, 895 people who registered in 2018, just a little bit of a slight decrease in 2019. 2020, that's in great because that was a lot of that was refunded. Who knew a pandemic was going to come? So we obviously had to adapt and overcome, and we did. And that's not just the marketing department, that's our district as a whole, from recreation to our admin team, parks, everybody really stepped up and were able to do this and make it happen. As you can see, 2021, we went, if you compare it just to 2019, from 857 people who registered to 1,524. That's 65% increase. Just this past month, or this past year, 2022, we were able to register 2,401 people, and that's day 1 registrants. That's quite a jump, as you can see, from just a few years ago. And the hits keep coming. This happened in summer, as you can see once again. 2019, 266 people registered the day of, all the way to May 2022, last month, 1,550. That increased revenue exponentially. And like I said, it just keeps going. Fall, obviously, 2018, same thing as you can see. Was there, obviously COVID was an anomaly. We were able, though, to adapt and then make things happen. You can see the registrations there. That the data points to the right decisions were being made, the right programs were being marketed, and the right programs were being executed by our recreation staff and everyone else. And now, I just gave you a little bit of how we market, how we advertise, and now I'll talk a little bit about how we communicate to our public and to our residents. Village of Wilmette population, as stated earlier, over 19,000 people. Average age is 45. 55% have an average of 2.79 kids. We're basically marketing to Steve Wilson. That is our demographic. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
One of the ways we are able to communicate is obviously through these board meetings and through any meetings that we have. It is very easy to access these board meetings. We have the meeting schedules on our website. We also send out a board brief the week of, so you will be seeing a board brief come out this week of this board meeting. Meetings are open, obviously, to the public. Enough people know about it. Obviously, we've all been here the past year in person. Obviously, people know where to come and what time to come here and express their opinions to the board. Past regular meetings are available on YouTube and on our website. Meeting packets and minutes are posted on our website. Archives are available as well. Like I said, the board brief is also posted by the end of the week of the board meeting. There are obviously opportunities for input. Public comment is welcome at any one of our park board meetings. Members of our community can communicate to our executive director and board via email or phone. We do have live community input sessions, such as when we have in-person input sessions. We put those on Facebook. We invite people through Facebook, through our postcards as well. So it's not only through digital media, but we do send out postcards also to our public so they're aware of where these meetings are and what time they are. Just a little bit about our board brief. This was a great idea, and I think that's something that's definitely helped out and been a resource for us to communicate what goes on in this room, obviously. We've been emailing this since February 2017 to 21,807 members of our community. We do little high-level highlights of what goes on in these meetings. Within the last 13 months, we have expanded these and put them on our social media as well. Within the last 13 months, we put these on our website and archives. Just this past month, last month, we were able to link our board brief to the Village newsletter as well. The Village newsletter actually goes out to just under 5,000 people, residents within Wilmette. Within the last 3 months, expanded content, we've begun to expand content beyond board meetings, updates to include other details, including interesting and useful information that we've had. One of the things I did want to highlight here, though, that I thought was fascinating. So the average open rate when we started these in 2017 to 2021 was 30%. Industry standard for this kind of e-newsletter or board brief is 34%. But if you look at December 2021 through May of 2022, it went bonkers, 52% open rate. So over half of our community is now opening up the board brief. I think that's just a credit to everything we're able to do and everything from your direction as well for our residents to receive more information in a timely manner. So they're definitely looking at this board brief, opening it up and reading it. One of the resources that we use for our parks and planning, which is obviously is a hot topic in our community, is our website. What we've been able to do as well is change it from a parks and planning section and rename it Parks, Planning, and Projects, because everybody loves alliteration. So there you go. Boom. We've added content regarding the West Park project, Lakeview Center, tree planting, and obviously other timely pieces of information. There's a section that's still in process, which is our nuts and bolts section. And this is just a little bit more, I think, of the interesting and fun work that gets done around the Park District. I don't know, maybe we'll have a video with Christy out there somewhere. Since she's not here, I can definitely volunteer her. I'm sure I'll get a text later. In our future, what we're striving for is open, honest, and ongoing communication between the Park District and the community to create an atmosphere of trust and cooperation among all stakeholders. That includes all our residents and obviously the people that are invested, such as the people behind me right now. Obviously, some of the special projects that have been worked on include our community play fields, Maple Park Playground, and something that should be very exciting to everybody here is our Park District Comprehensive and Strategic Plan. I think that's going to be an integral part of Wilmette Park District just growing as an agency. And now some new ways to build connection. We know there's always work to be done. We're not perfect, so this is just some things that my team and I have come up with in order to do a better job. One would be an audit, which is already underway, trying to assess where we can do better through research of other agencies' best practices, including government, local government, park districts, and school districts. One of the goals that we've always had is not only to be the best park district with our website, but we don't stop there. We want to be the best park district with our website, our best communications, not just with park districts, not just with local government, but with everyone. We set the bar high, and with hard work, I think we can meet it. One of the things is benchmarks. I think this is extremely important. How much more can we do? What is considered enough? How do we measure success? I think that's extremely important to start with. And that involves, obviously, whether it's surveys or communications. I think that's something that's extremely important. And then a little bit more about you guys. Maybe some staff pictures on the website so people can put a face to a name in a bio. I think that's extremely important to put that personal touch on our website and make you guys a little bit more out there in the community so people know you better. I think that's extremely important. And obviously our new website. We'll have an RFP out this week. Steve. We've obviously seen a few websites that we like. This is one of them. I'm not going to mention the agency by name. But they've done a great job with efficiency here, ease of use. Obviously they're using pictures. And it's just very easy just to see everything that they've been doing, whether it's their projects, financial information, which I'm sure Sheila would love, and commissioner meetings as well. So as you can see on this page, They're updating it, daily, and it's very easy to get to, whether it's, a project in the parks or it's an event that they're having. And lastly, Allison loves her quotes. Next to doing the right thing, the most important thing is to let people know you are doing the right thing. And that is our job as marketing and communications. So, thank you.
Thank you, Marlon.
Does anyone have any questions?
The website updates are really exciting. I'm thrilled to hear that.
So, hey, Marlon, I don't know if you have a way of determining this, but you said there was like 9,100 households, right? And you've got emails going to 50, how many? 54?
About 22,000 emails go out.
The 5,400
No.
was the village email list.
Right. 5,000, yeah, about 5,000 is the village email list.
Village email list.
Now I have
So
a link to.
would you be, how would you say that we're reaching maybe a third of the households, or would you, because that's more than half the households as far as email list versus number of households, but obviously, my wife gets one, I get one, so do you have any way of having
We
a
do
feel for that?
actually have a way of seeing how many emails are in the same household as well. But as of right now, I'd say we're reaching more than half of Wilmette residents.
Of households?
Of
Or residents?
Yeah, of the actual residents.
Residents. That's great.
I don't have a question, just thank you so much to you and your team for all that you do. I know we talk a lot about communications, and
I haven't heard a thing.
we really do appreciate the great work of you and your team.
Thank you so much. No, that really appreciate it. I'll let my team know.
And I will say the Yankee Doodle Dash, I feel like I have seen everywhere. So I got the mailer, I've seen emails, it's been great. I feel like everyone really knows about it. So you have broadcasted that so well.
July 2nd. It's selling fast.
Can you make the restaurant at the golf course open any sooner?
Oh, I wish. Wow.
Yeah.
Outside of my pay
You can
grade.
still get food there.
Yes, you can. And it's very good. Zier's meats are being sold
So, and
there.
I'm just sort of going to apologize in a sense, because when you presented the finance committee, I brought up a couple of issues, like, on the memorial policy and stuff, and I had done so, because I had only looked at them like a week ago, and then the next morning I looked again, and it was cheap, and the comments I had made previously, like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, had already been changed. So, it's like you really.
Check out the new parties and
you're
rent.
on top of, you're really on
Yeah, our parties and rental page has just been revamped, so check that out.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, good.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you very much.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Allison, too.
Yes, thank you, Allison. Lindsay, would you be good enough to make this very long motion to have us go into closed session?
Sure, I'll move to adjourn to closed session for the purposes of the discussion of litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that inaction is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting in accordance with Sections 2C11 of the Open Meetings Act.
And a second.
I second.
All right, roll call.
Commissioner Duffy.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier.
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch.
Yes, we are adjourned.
To closed session.
Thank you, to closed session.